Hi guys, and welcome to my video guide on second Coil of Bahamut turn 8. This time round, we will be facing against the big boss Avatar. Avatar has an enriched timer of 11 minutes and is a big DPS check if you want to clear it. Dual tanks work just fine if your DPS are all geared. However, if you're lacking in the DPS department, you can do it just fine with a solo tank to get the extra DPS that you need. Also, getting high quality food and popping potent poisoning potions are also very helpful in it. Before I start the fight, please allow me to explain the main mechanic of the boss battle that will happen throughout the whole fight. First off, as you can see here in the arena, there are 4 circle stages that are stationed at each side of the arena, and from time to time, towers will be spawned with 1 charge at this location during the fight as shown here. When the charge is full, an effect will happen which I will explain further later. Each tower has a charging bar that looks like a battery, and every 15 seconds they will charge up by 1. You can also charge it up by sending a player to stand on the switches here. When a player stands in the switch, the tower will be charged up by 1 and deals the player around 2 to 3000 damage. At the same time, it gives a debuff which increases your damage taken. Thus, it is highly not recommended for anyone to activate the switch twice until its debuff has worn off. If the charge level of all towers are synchronized when they charge, it gives the boss a stacking buff of damage increase every time the charge increases. And if all the towers reaches a max charge level, Avatar will cast a red wipe skill called Atomic Ray. Now let's get more in depth with what each tower does. Firstly, we have the Dreadnought Tower. On full charge, it spawns a clockwork Dreadnought, which the main tank will have to use Provoke because of the long distance and tank it immediately. Keep your defense cooldowns and Steel Cyclones ready at hand. Secondly, we have the Landmine Tower, which spawns 3 landmines and you have to detonate all 3 of them by standing on it within 15 seconds, or else it will instant wipe the whole party. For my party, we divide the area into the top and bottom. The main tank will handle all the landmines on his side and the rest of the party will handle their own side of landmines. You will detonate the landmines as long as you're standing in the white circle area that comes out from the mine. And when it detonates, it does a pushback away from the main source of explosion. Thus, it is important for you to position yourself in a manner so that you won't get pushed back into another landmine immediately to prevent taking too much damage. Third and lastly, the last 2 towers are defensive reaction towers. Basically, upon charging, they will cause a red-white AoE attack which deals around 3000 damage. With all those down, let us begin with phase 1. Throughout the guide, you can take a look at the diagram on the right. It shows you the recommended number of players to activate each tower. The pattern of towers that will be spawned are always the same in this order except for the third phase, which I will explain further. Main tank, position yourself so that the Avatar faces away from the entrance. Avatar will always remain in the middle of the arena. However, if you move away, he will start throwing lasers at you which deals more damage. Dreadnought spawn, pop defense cooldowns and burst him down. Be careful of his roto swipe. Introduced in phase 1, we have homing missile. Avatar will affix a random player with a tether, which can be passed on to another player by moving past one another. The player targeted will have to move himself away from the rest of the party and take the damage alone. Secondly, we have Gaseous Bomb, which can be identified by a laser from the sky. Make sure to stack together and split the damage. These 2 abilities of Avatar will continue throughout the whole entire fight. For the second set of towers, we have the landmines. Send 2 players to activate it. Pop all the landmines and wait for defensive reaction to pop. Phase 3 begins as soon as you see ballistic missile casting. This skill puts two players on bind, rendering them unable to move. At the same time, either a small or a large circle will start to form underneath them, as shown here. For them to survive the attack, a small circle needs to have 2 players inside it, and a large circle will need to have 3 players inside it. If the numbers are wrong, once the second missile lands, all players inside the circle will die instantly. Imagine this is 7 players stacking together. The moment you see ballistic casting, everyone moves out, leaving only those 2 who got binded alone. For pattern number 1, we have 2 small circles. They will each account for one another, thus nobody had to move, nobody dies. For pattern number 2, 1 small and 1 big circle. One player will have to go back in the big circle to account as the third person. For pattern number 3, 2 big circles. One player will have to go back and stand in both of the big circles to account as the third person. All this will take a little practice, but you should be good in no time. Moving on, Brain Jack will be casted on the main tank, which gives him a debuff called Confusion and sends him to attack the nearest player. To counter this, you need to have one player stand right underneath Avatar as shown here. The main tank should also count down to the end of the debuff so that the player tanking him can move back to his position as soon as the Brain Jack ends. For the third set of towers, send 2 players to activate the Dreadnought Tower. Be prepared to deal with ballistic missiles every time the set of towers switch. For the fourth set of towers, send 2 players to activate the landmines and do as usual. Prepare for ballistic missiles again. It is possible that the 5th set of towers be skipped if Avatar drops below 45% HP. However, it is not recommended to skip the 5th set as you will have to deal with Avatar longer in the last phase, which is more challenging in my opinion. Activate the Dreadnought Tower twice and be prepared to deal with landmines halfway through Dreadnought. Phase 3 will begin with the cast of Elegant Field. This will place a debuff on the random player except the tank. Any damage that the player received while the debuff is on him will be totaled up and doubled back to the rest of the party as a red-white AoE attack when it counts down to 0. To deal with this, healers will need to make sure the player is always up with Stone Skin and Adloquium at all times. With the progress to Phase 3, you no longer have to deal with ballistic missiles or Brain Jack anymore. From Phase 3 onwards, the tower pattern will alternate between 2 types, each set with 3 towers activated. First one, we have 1 landmine tower and 2 defensive towers. Activate the landmine tower twice and the defensive tower once. For my party, the tower behind the main tank was never activated at all. For the second set of towers in Phase 3, activate Dreadnought Tower twice and Landmine Tower once. Also, use your melee limit break whenever you find the chance to use it. third set of towers in phase 3 alternate back to the same set as previous towers. The 11-minute end range should also reach us at the end of this tower spawn. And with this, you have now officially cleared T8 and congratulations! I hope this video guide helped you, and if you like this video, please like, favorite and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again.